Oh, this one's gonna be interesting. Cancel culture. What an interesting term. Right. So I'm here to debunk the myth that is cancel culture, because to me doesn't really exist. I look at people like your Dave Chapelles and a lot of other comedians, people who are just in the massive public eye currently, and I think there's a difference between being canceled and taking accountability for the things that you are saying and doing. Critiquing is not canceling. We're going to actually look at the definition of cancel. So by Merriam-Webster's definition, cancel culture is the practice or tendency of engaging in mass canceling as a way of expressing disapproval and exerting social pressure. And here's maybe another way to sort of phrase that. For those of you who aren't aware, cancel culture refers to the mass withdrawal of support from public figures or celebrities who have done things that aren't socially accepted today. This practice of canceling or mass shaming often occurs on social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. The essential meaning of cancel: to stop doing or planning to do something, to decide that something will not happen. Example: the event was canceled at the last minute when the speaker didn't show up. This is what I think is actually happening. I think that marginalized communities for so long are just so sick and tired of having to sit idly by and let people like Dave Chapelle have the spotlight, and they're tired of sitting idly by and allowing them to simply say whatever they want. Dave Chapelle can use the ideology, well, I have a trans friend and they were completely okay with me saying what I said. That's like a white person saying, I have a black friend and they're okay with me saying the N-word. Not all trans people are the same. Not all non-binary people, black people, people who are Hispanic or a part of the Latin community, etc. are the same. Everyone has different discrepancies. Everyone has a different personality because voila, that's how human beings work. And I feel as if in this time right now, we feel as if especially people who have a platform should not be critiqued whatsoever. And we shouldn't have a problem with what they're saying. The difference between there's no way we could cancel Dave Chapelle. Even R. Kelly has people who still follow him to this day. There's no way that a Twitter mob on Twitter typing can completely remove someone from our atmosphere. A company does not, for instance, DaBaby, my God, these festivals don't remove DaBaby because he's homophobic. They remove him because there's negative outcry against him. Does that make sense? They're not saying, DaBaby, he's homophobic, let's remove him. No, they're saying, DaBaby has a lot, people are croaking. People are croaking right now because of what? Because of what happened with DaBaby. People are these corporations are not removing these well-known musicians and so-called icons because they're supposedly transphobic. They're doing these things because there's public outcry and backlash against them, and that would not look good on them. And I feel, especially with comedy, you know, there are a lot of comedians who would say that their job is so important to our society, to lighten our society, to be the people who say the things that others won't. Don't be so precious with your craft. I'm a poet, I'm a playwright, I'm an actor, I'm a dancer, but I can say, even though I'm making art, it is just a short film. It is just words on a piece of paper that rhyme, that are supposed to sound beautiful. In the end, I can admit that. Now I can put preciousness on top of it and talk about it's the art, it's the beauty. Sure. But at the end of the day, you're standing on stage to make people laugh. This isn't supposed to be shock culture. This isn't supposed to be shocking or controversial. Your job, I need to make you laugh. And so very recently, people especially you look at black people in the public eye, especially like Dave Chapelle, black men who were raised off of a mistranslated, altered, and changed Bible, and those ideologies begin to infuse in their brain, and that's why they begin to make LGBTQ jokes, etc. That's why people make fun of people a part of the AAPI community, people a part of the Latin community. That's why people make fun of people a part of the African American community, especially white people or non-people of color, is because they don't see the harm they're doing. They don't see the fault in the stars. They don't understand why what they're doing is actually wrong. And I continue to keep going back to Dave Chapelle because this is the prominent figure right now. Cancel culture. Myself, with the current platform that I have, I cannot cancel Dave Chapelle. 10,000 people online. Dave Chappelle's not canceled. He's still selling out arenas on his tour. He recently went back to his old, I believe it was his high school, and the people there did not want him there. Or a lot of the students, at least, did not want him there because they saw what was happening. There's no, and that's the thing is, at what point are you saying cancel culture exists? Are you saying it exists because it's on a mass, broader scale? When people say that the special, Dave Chappelle special, should be removed, is that canceling him? That's saying there's something that has a lot of critiquing. And I hate when people say this. Let's educate instead of canceling. It is not the job of marginalized communities to educate the voices who have been heard time and time and time again. Black people are not white people's teachers. Like, this is a continual problem. The community that has been bashed and shamed and told to shut up and be quiet is not the community that comes to the greater known voice, is not the community that has to educate them. Oh, educate me, black. Come on, black. Educate me, blacks. Come on, blacks. That's not. We don't have to be in that. We don't have to be put in that position anymore. And no longer do we want to be put in that position. So when it comes to this specific instance, there are people on Twitter who are calling for the special is not going to be. See, this is why cancel culture doesn't exist, because the special isn't being removed. People had a large outcry. People walked out of Netflix, out of their job, saying that this is wrong. And in my opinion, from the things that I've heard of the special, it is wrong. Dave Chapelle isn't making these, and he can say that your actions speak a whole lot louder than your words. You can easily say, I support the community, but your entire career, his entire career, has been made off of a lot of the times making those jokes. His entire special, the entire special, was him making LGBTQ jokes. And so, like he said, we have to be able to laugh together, not laugh at each other. But that's the issue, you see. That's, people want to hear the voice of Dave Chapelle. And my question is, why? Why? Is it because he's a black man with an opinion? And you think you should trust that opinion? Than actual doctors who know that being transgender is scientific law? And in the special, he talks about, the whole bathroom debate and how a woman shouldn't have to walk into a man's bathroom. I get it. The same tired old rhetoric. But we know who his audience is. We know who's going to see these specials. And just because your one trans friend, Daphne, would laugh at your jokes does not mean all trans people have to. Not at all. It's very specific to Dave. Or if you look at Astroworld, this entire thing, this isn't canceling. This is something bad that happened. People died, and therefore there are repercussions. And that's the thing. Oh my God. People continue to keep preaching the idea of, we live in a free country, free speech. Free speech is never free. Somebody always has to pay the price, as Charlemagne the God would say. Somebody always has to pay the price. If I say something horrible to you and you punch me in the face, we both just paid the price. Because now you might be going off to jail. Well, if you're white, punching a black person, you might. If Dave Chapelle wants to get up on stage and do an hour-long comedy special about trans people, there's clearly some level of research he hasn't done. The same tired old rhetoric, the same old jokes that he's been making for a long time. And me personally, sitting back, I can see the other side. I can see the other side, which it's just a joke. It's just a joke. We're just all laughing and having a good time. The issue is when those same people walk out of the auditorium, leave Dave Chappelle's special, and continue to keep talking about, and now begin having a debate and serious conversation about trans mortality, about the livelihood of trans people and whether they even deserve to exist. Your jokes, your humor can then be turned around to use as an argument. Fox News and OWN are the people that are on your side right now with this brand new special. This is where I think cancel culture, I don't think it exists. I think it's critiquing. If people want to deplatform you and take away, they're not, first of all, they're never going to be able to, unless you did something absolutely horrid and horrible. But 10,000 tweets on Twitter, if people want to deplatform and you get rid of your platform, and they've been saying the same thing over and over again, there's a reason why. People don't just hate you and therefore want to take you down, or at least the people that I know. People have tried over and over again to take the higher route of education. Let me educate you. Let me talk to you, DaBaby. Let me talk to you. Let me educate you. Let me tell you about why what you said was wrong. And if you continue to make the same mistakes, that is trauma and pain living in your body. That is an internal reaction to something you're dealing with. This is the issue with cancel culture. It's just critiquing. It's call out culture, if anything. It's calling out the things that in life don't seem right. If something doesn't seem right, and it's not the woke mob or the snowflakes, it's just that it's not that people have gotten softer or less durable to handle things. It's that the machinery and technology to hurt and damage people has gotten stronger. It's destroying us. People are not snowflakes or woke warriors. Cancel culture does not exist. It's critiquing. It's calling out the discrepancies in our society and trying to correct them. And Dave Chapelle, in his very existence, is a huge example of the mass correction that has to happen. It has to happen. Because if it doesn't, we're allowing these so-called precious artists to get up on stage, protect their craft, and continue to keep saying crude things that ultimately are hurting people. And you may sit there and say, you really think that people saying that Dave Chapelle doesn't like trans people is going to make people in the road not like them? Yes. It seems like we're trying to progress forward so much, but there's something that just keeps pulling us back down. And it's specials like this that do. And it's moments like this that do. Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, James Charles, David Dobrik, all of them have their platform. Yeah, have their platform. Shane Dawson has 20 million people still subscribed to him on his channel after everything he did. Because we've gotten so used to just not caring, having so much apathy. And I'm not saying he should lose everything, but I do not think that he has educated himself to the extent that he truly could have. Has he looked into the internal racialized trauma in his body? I'm not sure, but probably not. Has he looked at what it's done to his audience and people that follow him? I'm not sure, but probably not. Has he bought books about why it's actually bad to put on blackface, why it's bad to practice pedophilia? Has he done the work to prove why it's not okay to fake masturbate in front of a photo of Willow Smith? Probably not. That trauma still lives in his body. The trauma of these black, white, Hispanic, Latin, AAPI bodies, etc. still lives in our bodies. It hurts, it's aching, and it's crying for someone or something to help. And we're not solving it. The cancel culture mob doesn't exist. It's something created by the people in power to want to keep power. You hear so many well-known people say, I don't listen to the critics. I don't listen to I don't listen to the critics. And true, there's never been a statue erected for a critic. True. But I will say, giving in and listening maybe once in a while can help educate you. And to those marginalized communities who've had to face that, to myself, who's had to face the continuous racism and bigotry, I tell myself all the time, and you should tell yourself, because the people in power will not, never underestimate the power of your presence. Because your presence is a present. Thank you.